What's on Tap is brought to you by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Sundays are easy to enjoy when they are full of football, and the fridge is filled with beer, and we're going to make it even easier for you by taking some of your questions. But before we do, how about the Week 8 Fantasy Football Happy Hour regular power rankings? Clark Brady, distant cousin of Brady Cook, still number one. Still.
It's a strong week for Raise the Flags. I'm not surprised he's up to. Aloha Bricks, obviously these rankings were done before the last comment, which would have lowered him a spot or two, honestly, in my ranks. This one is shocking to me. I have to talk to the committee. Jonathan Medici, who I thought had an unbelievable week.
Really good week.
To drop 2 spots, it's outrageous.
But he said the bar's so high.
I don't know what the committee is looking at there as well. Mr. T up 1, Tej down 2 spots, Ved. But how about a couple of people making their regular power ranking debut? Julio, think you are at 10. Heavy Meat Sauce at 8. They're back in after not being on the list last week. Valiant Vincent down 2 spots to number 9. Couple others receiving votes. Aloha Bricks asking, what's the panic level on JD5 besides the injury? I'm talking about rest of the season here.
Yeah, I mean, this is our first question here for What's on Tap. I mean, you got to be concerned that this just feels like little things starting to add up in an offense that hasn't been as smooth of an operation. And part of that is the injuries around him as well. So for Jayden Daniels right now, this was kind of the concern of him as a prospect, is that he has a slender frame. He's taken some hits. I'm not panicking to the level of like, oh, it's over. But you need an alternate plan right now because I think this is something that can kind of linger or come back up again.
The issue is that, so the reporting has been pretty optimistic that he may only miss 1 week. But the problem is if you go to 3 and 5 and it becomes a lost season down the stretch, is he 100% going to be there and play through all this stuff? And it's not just this, like he missed time earlier in the season as well. Yes. Last year he was playing through these rib issues. So it just seems like he's constantly banged up. And this season I would worry that while he played through stuff last year because they were going 12 and 5 and being a playoff contender, he may not play through as much if they don't have a season to fight for in the final month.
And I've said this before about, as much of a homer as I am about the Commanders, last year everything that could have gone right for Washington did. They won a bunch of one-score games. They stayed relatively healthy. And so this year they're not having the same sort of luck, obviously, right? They are, it's not just Jayden Daniels. They've had injuries on both sides of the ball. Obviously Deebo Samuel, obviously Terry McLaurin missing time. And so they've just, to your point, it's not only that is Jayden Daniels 100% healthy, but is the offensive line going to be healthy? Can he get production out of the run game? Can he get wide receivers out there? I mean, like last week he was thrown to Chris Moore and Luke McCaffrey. I mean, so I think assuming they lose this game, they're 3 and 5. I don't think that Jayden Daniels suddenly shuts it down at 3 and 5.
No.
But if they go to 3 and 7, they're not out of it just yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think and his competitive spirit, but yes, if you're sitting there looking ahead to the fantasy playoffs, if you manage to, unlike my team in our league that has Jayden Daniels as his quarterback and is not in playoff contention, but if you are in playoff contention and you have Jayden Daniels, you start thinking ahead of okay, what happens if this guy gets shut down?
Yeah,
something to think about. I think it's a slim chance, but it's definitely a non-zero chance.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much this injury, which seems like a fairly minor hamstring that he can return from. It's the next.
That's my point.
If there's a next hit and they're in position where the playoffs are getting out of reach. So, yeah, I mean, I'd probably rather have Drake May than Jayden Daniels rest of the season, right? Because I'm pretty confident that Drake May is going to be the guy the rest of the season. The Patriots are in playoff contention, and these injuries for Jayden are concerning.
No doubt.
Our next question from Nick Cohen. Should I trade Javonte and J-Mo for Drake London and Alvin Kamara? What do you think about this one, Matthew? It's kind of a pretty balanced proposition.
It is. It's, you know what? I think I would do that, and I'll tell you why. Because I think Jameson Williams is useless. So he is in fantasy. You can't start him. So it's really Javonte Williams for Drake London and Alvin Kamara. Javonte Williams is a fringe RB1. Drake London is a fringe wide receiver 1. I think they're both like top 12-ish at the position. So then you're telling me, would I rather have Alvin Kamara, who's like a flex-ish running back, versus Jameson Williams?
Well, the floor's a lot better on that situation. Yep.
Yes, I think I would rather have Kamara and Drake London than Javonte and J-Mo. Again, depending, it's hard to say without knowing roster construction and all that, but just in a vacuum, London and Kamara are more valuable as a combo than Javonte and Jameson Williams.
Yeah, I think what flips this from a maybe to a yes is Kendra Miller going down for the season. And the fact that Alvin Kamara seems pretty adamant that he's not getting traded.
Right.
So he's going to be the guy going forward in New Orleans. And yeah, in a nutshell, I'd still rather have Drake London than Javonte Williams, I think.
Yeah. For sure. The other thing is that I think Jordan Schultz was tweeted out that watch Cris Olave and Rashid Shaheed both on the trade block. So again, if something like that happens, Kamara becomes even more a part of, this bad offense of your formerly beloved son.
Yes, formerly.
This next one from Darren Weatherford. Tez Johnson, Woody Marks, or Romeo Doubs in the flex in a PPR league?
I think this one's close, but I'm going to go with Romeo Doubs. Dobby.
Number one
Dobby,
Power
yes.
rankings.
Yes. In the Dobby Power Rankings. We'll see him Sunday night live at Acrisure Stadium if I'm allowed in. But since week 4, he's the 7th best wide receiver in fantasy, averaging 17.8 fantasy points per game. 3 straight games now with 8 or more targets, 5 or more receptions. Steelers very quietly allowing the 6th most fantasy points to opposing wide receivers. That secondary isn't what we thought it was going to be at the start of the year.
No, they can't cover. Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey at this point of his career.
Older.
They're old. And it's not Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but Romeo Doubs, he gets open, particularly in the end zone.
Yeah, I think those two guys, especially because we've talked about Golden's been up and down. The other guys are banged up, even if Wicks plays. So it's really going to be Dobbs and Tucker Kraft, I think, in the passing game for Jordan Love and the Packers.
That'll do it for What's on Tap, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. And speaking of Pittsburgh, Sunday night, Aaron Rodgers faces Green Bay for the first time ever in his career as the Pittsburgh Steelers host Jordan Love and the Packers Sunday, 7 Eastern on NBC and Peacock. We're taking our last break, but coming up next, we have our best picks to impress Matthew. Pickup lines after this.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.